If you're in control of your financial life, why does your balance refuse to grow? Think about it for a moment. You work, you keep to your schedule, you do what needs to be done. Every month, the money comes in. The bills are paid on time. Sometimes there's even a little left over. At times, you earn more than you did before. And yet, when you look at the whole picture, at your assets, at the real feeling of progress, it seems like something isn't moving. It seems like you're always in the same place. Have you ever experienced this? This is a silent discomfort that many people feel, but almost no one can explain. On the outside, everything seems right. There are no major mistakes, no obvious lack of control, no absurd decisions. On the contrary, there is organization, there is responsibility, there is effort. But despite all this, the results don't appear. The money doesn't take root, the future doesn't expand. And the question that keeps nagging, even if you don't say it out loud, is simple and uncomfortable. Where exactly am I going wrong? The most dangerous thing is that at this point, most people believe they are in control. Control of the bills, the credit card, the payments, the monthly decisions. This feeling is real, but it can be deceptive because controlling the month is not the same as controlling the game. And that's where the trap lies. You feel like you're doing everything right, but you remain trapped in a system that was designed to work differently. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover may surprise you. There's a huge difference between managing money and building wealth, a difference that's rarely clearly explained. The first keeps you functioning, the second changes your position in the game. But when you're stuck in the routine of paying bills, making installment payments, and dealing with immediate needs, that difference becomes invisible. The bank understands this very well. The financial system understands it even better. And while you're focused on surviving the month, someone else is profiting from time. Perhaps the problem isn't your income. Perhaps it isn't your discipline. Perhaps it isn't even your individual choices. Perhaps the problem lies in how you were taught to play the game, or rather, in how you were led to believe you were playing it well. That's the illusion of financial control. The feeling of security that exists as long as you remain within the rules that favor the other side. Notice how almost no one talks about this. There's a lot of talk about earning more, investing better, cutting expenses, making ends meet, but little is said about structure, about margins, about who really wins when everything seems normal. Little is said about the exact moment when the game stops being monthly and becomes strategic. And even less about that invisible boundary that separates those who work for the system from those who gradually begin to leave it. Perhaps you're closer to that turning point than you realize. Maybe you just haven't noticed where you're stepping yet, because before any real change happens, there's a shock, a question that can't be ignored. And from there, everything starts to make sense in a different way. And perhaps that's exactly why this conversation needs to remain open. Because this feeling of doing everything right and still not making any progress isn't unique. It's more common than it seems. If, while you were listening to all this, any part resonated more strongly, if any phrase seemed to describe your own routine, it's worth giving voice to it. Sometimes, writing in the comments what bothered you most, what made you reflect the most, or even what you still can't explain, helps not only you, but other people who are going through the exact same situation and feel alone in it. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below about what has resonated with you the most so far. It could be a question, an experience, or a concern you've had for years. This space exists precisely for that, to exchange ideas, to reflect together, to see the game more clearly. When you comment, you help strengthen this conversation and show that this type of content needs to continue being created. And if, at any point during this video, you felt that this reflection made you look at money in a different way, liking the video is a simple way to say so. It seems like a small thing, but this gesture helps this content reach more people who, are still trapped in this same illusion of control. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of message. Now, if you realize you want to continue understanding this game, if you want to follow reflections that go beyond the basics and move towards the real building of wealth, subscribing to the channel is almost a natural step. It's like saying, I want to learn to see better before taking the next step, because what comes next begins to show, little by little, where this game really changes. When you start paying closer attention, you realize that the feeling of always chasing your own tail isn't a coincidence. There's an invisible rule operating all the time, and it's almost never clearly explained. The bank doesn't play the same game as you. While you organize your life thinking about the next bill, the closing of your credit card statement, or the salary that comes in at the end of the month, on the other side, there's a completely different logic, built to work in the long term. This difference changes everything, even if you haven't realized it yet. The customer thinks about surviving the month. The bank thinks about controlling time. This is the first great hidden truth that needs to be said. For those on this side, the focus is on cash flow. Money comes in, goes out, little is left over. Immediate needs are resolved. On the other side, the focus is on financial structure. The bank doesn't depend on next month to succeed. It depends on repetition, predictability, and decisions you make today, believing they are small, but which carry an impact for years. That's where the asymmetry begins to appear. Perhaps you've never stopped to think about it this way, but the bank doesn't need you to fail. It just needs you to keep going. Keep paying in installments, keep accepting comfortable solutions that solve the problem now and charge later. None of this is illegal, none of this is truly hidden. It's all in the contracts, in the rules, in the details that almost nobody reads. The game isn't secret, it's just silent. And the less you understand how it works, the more predictable you become within it. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject because this is where a concept emerges that completely changes the way we see this relationship. The shark door. It's not a physical place, nor a specific investment. It represents a point of awareness, an invisible boundary between those who merely react to the rules of the system and those who begin to understand its inner workings. Most people spend their entire lives going in circles without even realizing that this door exists. And not because they are incapable, but because they were never taught to look at the game from above. When you focus solely on the flow, any unforeseen event throws you off balance. Any adjustment creates pressure. Any delay generates anxiety. Those who think about structure, however, work to create margin, time, and decision-making power. The bank operates exactly like that. It doesn't depend on your urgency. It feeds off it. Every choice made under pressure strengthens the side that already has an advantage. This is an uncomfortable but liberating revelation. Because from the moment you see this, some decisions start to seem different. Not wrong, but strategic. Or not. Understanding this invisible rule doesn't automatically put you on the other side of the door, but it changes your journey. It changes your mindset. It changes the type of questions you ask before deciding. And it's at this point that the illusion of control begins to crack. Not because you've lost control, but because you've realized it was never where you thought it was. There's a before and after this understanding, and those who go through this phase begin to realize that the game isn't won in a month, but in the design of their own financial life. If all of this made sense to you on some level, comment below. This makes sense to me. That simple phrase already says a lot about where you are on this journey. When you start putting the pieces together, something becomes clearer. The bank wins precisely when everything seems normal. It's not when things go wrong. It's not when you're late. It's not when you explicitly lose control. It's when you believe you're making the right decisions in a responsible, rational, and mature way. That's when the real game happens. And no, this isn't a scam. It's mathematics combined with human behavior, working silently behind the scenes. Think about long-term financing. At first glance, it seems like the perfect solution. The installment fits in your budget, it doesn't strain your finances, and it allows you to access something that would otherwise take years. The feeling is one of progress, of achievement. But behind this seemingly small choice lies a structural consequence. You lock in your credit margin. You compromise future decisions before they even exist. The bank isn't interested in your immediate relief, but in the predictability that this decision creates over time. You solve the present. They consolidate the future. Comfortable installment plans work the same way. It doesn't hurt today, so it seems harmless. A payment here, another there, everything under control. But immediate financial comfort almost always comes at a cost, hidden in the future. Each installment takes a piece of your tomorrow, reduces your flexibility, limits your ability to react to opportunities or changes. And the more fragmented these decisions become, the harder it is to see the full impact. The bank sees the big picture. You only see the month. And then there's the fast-approved credit. Few things give such a deceptive sense of power as someone saying, "It's approved." It feels like confidence, like recognition, even like a reward for good financial behavior. But easy credit isn't a prize. It's a tool. The more predictable you are, the easier it is to fit you into models that work in favor of the lender, not the borrower. Again, it's not an illegal trap. It's a structure designed to benefit from repetition. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject because this is where many people get lost. These isolated decisions don't seem wrong. On the contrary, they seem sensible. The problem is the accumulation. Small choices, made with short-term logic, gradually consume the future. Not dramatically, but constantly. You don't feel the impact all at once. It appears diluted, like a persistent feeling that there's a lack of space, time, or options. This is the hidden truth that is rarely discussed. The bank doesn't need you to make bad decisions. It only needs you to continue making predictable decisions. The more predictable, the easier it is to structure products, offers, and paths that keep you exactly where you are. Clarity begins when you understand that the game isn't about right or wrong, but about accumulated consequences. About how small choices shape an entire journey without making a sound. When this awareness arrives, something begins to change inside. Not immediately in your account, but in your mindset. You start to look at decisions more calmly, with more context, and with a greater vision of impact. And it's at this point that your relationship with money stops being just about survival and starts to become a strategy. It's not a complete turnaround yet, but it's the moment when you realize that there's more going on than it seemed at first glance. If this part of the conversation clarified something for you, write in the comments, "I'm seeing things differently." This simple phrase already shows that something has started to change. There's a specific moment in this journey when something starts to change inside. It's not when your salary increases, nor when a debt disappears. It's when you realize that the game isn't won by putting in more effort in the same place, but by a silent change of direction. That's the turning point. It doesn't make a sound. It doesn't generate immediate applause, but it completely alters how you relate to money, to time, and to your own decisions. The bank starts to lose its advantage when you create margin. Margin of choice, margin of time, emotional margin. While everything is tight, any unforeseen event takes over. Any offer seems like a solution. Any relief seems like progress. Creating margin means getting out of this constant state of urgency. It's when you stop living reactively and start, little by little, to decide more consciously. This is a transformation that happens in behavior before it happens in your balance. Another powerful shift occurs when the focus changes from just income to wealth. Income covers the month. Wealth builds the future. This distinction seems simple, but it carries a hidden truth that almost no one has told you. You can earn more and stay in the same place. You can work hard and remain predictable within the system. Thinking about wealth means moving away from the logic of the present and entering a logic of accumulated impact. It's understanding that some decisions don't provide comfort today, but freedom tomorrow. Reducing dependence on credit is another clear sign of a turning point. Not because credit is an absolute villain, but because depending on it to maintain your standard of living keeps you within the system. The less you need to resort to credit to support basic decisions, the more power you regain. The bank thrives when you need it all the time. It loses power when you start using it by choice, not out of necessity. This completely changes the relationship. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject because this is where an important symbol of this journey comes in: the shark door. It doesn't open in haste. It's not crossed impulsively or anxiously. It opens when the mindset changes, when the perspective matures, when decisions begin to be made with a long-term vision. Many people want to rush through this door, seeking shortcuts, quick fixes, easy promises. But it only opens for those who understood the game before trying to win it. If you've made it this far, it's important to make something clear. You're probably still outside the door, and that's okay. Most people never even realize it exists. The difference lies in being awake. It's about seeing behind the scenes, understanding the revelations that don't appear in common speeches, realizing that the system works better for those who think in terms of time, not just the month. This awakening already puts you in a different place mentally, even if the results haven't yet appeared externally. The hope here is not illusory, it is realistic. It stems from the understanding that small changes made consciously generate consistent progress. It's not about turning the game around all at once, but about stopping playing it blindly. When that happens, each decision carries more intention, more strategy, more alignment with the journey you want to build. And it is at this point that exclusivity begins to emerge, not as a privilege, but as a consequence of different choices. If this part of the conversation resonated with you, comment below. I'm on this journey too. This shows that something has already begun to change inside. When you observe closely, you begin to realize that not everyone crosses the shark gate, and this has nothing directly to do with intelligence, income, or luck. It has to do with identity. There are two very clear profiles walking side by side within the same system, but in completely different directions. One lives reacting to the month, the other begins to structure the future. The difference between them doesn't appear blatantly, but reveals itself in the silent choices of everyday life. Those who live reacting to the month wake up already owing energy to time. Every decision stems from urgency. The focus is always on the short term, on immediate relief, on the solution that fits right now. It's not irresponsibility, it's conditioning. This profile adapts to the rules of the system, learns to survive within it, but rarely questions its inner workings. Money comes in, money goes out, and the constant feeling is of effort without real progress. Everything seems under control, but the path remains too predictable. On the other side are those who are beginning to structure their future. They don't ignore the month, but they aren't held hostage by it. Their decisions carry intention, vision, and a certain conscious discomfort. They are people who understand that financial transformation doesn't happen all at once, but begins when mindset changes. They don't look for shortcuts, they seek clarity. They don't try to beat the system, but they cease to be predictable pieces within it. And that in itself already changes the game. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject because there's a hidden truth here that almost no one talks about. The shark gate doesn't separate the rich from the poor. It separates those who repeat patterns from those who build structure. It's not about showing off, accumulating, or proving something to others. It's about not being easily mapped by the system. The more predictable you are, the easier it is to offer you ready-made products, limits, and paths. When your decisions deviate from the pattern, the game starts to lose its effectiveness against you. Those who walk through that door begin to ask different questions. Instead of, how much does it cost per month? They start thinking about the long-term impact. Instead of, does this solve the problem now? They begin to question, what obstacles does this hinder in the future? This change doesn't happen overnight. It's built little by little, with seemingly simple choices, but full of awareness. It's a silent journey, almost invisible to those on the outside, but profoundly transformative for those on the inside. Those who remain outside often don't even realize there's a door. They're too busy dealing with immediate issues, adjusting installments, accepting conditions, chasing the next deal. There's no judgment here, just an observation. The system works very well, as long as people continue playing the same game. The breakthrough begins when someone decides to look beyond the month and starts to chart their own path with more intention. This difference creates a sense of belonging. Those who begin to structure their future realize they are part of a smaller group, not because of status, but because of attitude. People who understand that there is a next step, but also know that there is a common mistake before reaching the door. A mistake that many people make out of anxiety, haste, or wanting results too quickly. Recognizing this is part of maturing and prepares the ground for more solid decisions. If all of this resonated with you on some level, comment below. This makes sense to me. This simple phrase already shows which side of the door your mindset is starting to position itself on. If you've made it this far, it's because this conversation has truly resonated with you. It wasn't just about money. It was about mindset, choices, and seeing the game with a bit more clarity. And when this kind of reflection makes sense, continuing this journey together becomes natural. Subscribing to the channel simply means you want to keep exploring these behind-the-scenes aspects, better understanding the decisions that shape the future, and moving forward with more awareness in this process. If you want to leave a sign that you stayed until the end, write it in the comments. I'm with you until the end. This phrase helps create a sense of community among those who no longer want to play on autopilot. And if at any point in the video you felt this message was directed at you, leave a like too. It's a simple gesture, but it strengthens this type of content and shows that this connection really happened. There's a video over here that perfectly complements this topic and delves even deeper into this conversation. Click on it and continue with me there, because this journey still has much to reveal.